Thanks for doing this. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
my pleasure. Thanks for having
And
me.
so, one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on this is because across the past maybe year or two, I would say that the content that you posted on social media has been very influencing in the way that I coach the athletes I do, and also the way that I program the people around me. And just because I feel that the content that you put out is very positive, I feel that it's a good way of pursuing exercise, and it's not. I know it's not new, but it's a new approach, and I feel that pretty much a lot of the trainers out there put a lot of things that are negative about other people, and I don't feel that coming from you or either functional bodybuilding. So I really appreciate that. It made a big difference in my practice.
That's great to hear. I mean, that's definitely been the goal from the beginning, is to put content out that people can use to upgrade their own training or upgrade their coaching of clients. And yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. There's plenty of people out there saying, you shouldn't do this like the other person is doing out there. And I don't know that that really moves the needle forward in a way that's positive. You know, it's like my wife always tells me, we have two kids now, and the older one that's like almost 2.5. You know, I'm often finding myself like telling her like, hey, like, don't do that because she's getting into trouble or she's going to do something to hurt herself. And you know, tell her what you can do. Don't tell her what you can't do, as like a way of teaching kids and a way of parenting. And that just very much carries over to fitness. It's like, tell people what they should be doing rather than telling them like, if you don't do this because it's going to hurt you or harm you or whatever. So yeah, I subscribe to that, definitely.
I had a podcast actually yesterday with somebody who told me that there's no trainer out there that's intention to hurt people or do things wrong, right? They just don't know it yet.
Yeah, that's true.
They just haven't been shared the right knowledge at the right time, or exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I did plenty of things in my early years coaching that I look back on now and I'm like, ooh, that was not the best thing for my client. But at the time, it's what I knew. It's the best thing I knew at the time. And my intention wasn't to harm people. I do think there are coaches and trainers out there who don't have do no harm as like the number one thing on their list when they approach coaching. It's more like, how do I get more money? How do I get more clients? What's the thing that will be fastest, like most, get the best results quickest? And sometimes that's at odds with the, best practices, safest practices.
Yeah, I hear you. And how what does the day in the life of Marcus look like? I mean, we see what you post on, but I mean, there's a lot, the big picture of everything around your day. What does that look like?
My days are pretty consistent, I mean, Monday through Friday, certainly. It's just, I'm in the office 8 to 5. That's how I commit my day. I have one day a week where I leave at like midday to go do something with my wife in the afternoon, because it turns out that like the only opportunity we have to do, dates is usually during the week. It's when we have childcare during the week. On the weekends, we are with our kids. That's our time to spend with them. So if we want to have, alone time, we just, we sneak out on like Thursday afternoon. But yeah, the days are very structured. It's, up at the same time, about 5 a.m. every day. Have about an hour and a half to myself before the rest of the family starts waking up, and then getting breakfast and family time going, and then getting the kids off to daycare or school. And my wife and I both work out of the house, so 8 a.m. we're in the office, she's in her office, and I work in the mornings, whether it be client consultations or writing programs or writing content for social media or for our email list. I usually train middle of the day between 11 and 1. That's kind of my time to train. And then I finish the day with, similar type of work in the afternoon, whether it's, like I said, in-person consultations, or I'm actually coaching on the floor, getting some time with clients, and then writing program design for my individual clients and group programs that I offer. So I kind of split up my day. I found that if I work really focused for several hours and then I go move my body, I can put together kind of two good, work sessions in a day. And I love the idea of moving kind of at a consistent time each day. So that's how I've structured it.
Do you feel that when you do those personal trainings, that it gives you a little bit more inspiration because you're more on the floor with the athlete?
Yeah, I mean, I'll clarify. I don't actually do any personal training anymore. So no one-on-one sessions, but the format and the model that we've built into our facility is one where all of our clients that come to Revival Strength, they're all on individual coaching plans. So they have a coach, whether it's myself or somebody else on staff here that's writing a design that they follow. And then they come and work out in sort of a open gym format where I might be the floor coach. And so then I'm kind of having personal touches with a group of 8 to 10 people who are all doing different stuff. That definitely gives me I think the coaching in person is a critical piece to being, a fitness coach. And with the growth of online training and online coaching programs, there are more and more coaches I hear saying, "Oh, I want to get into online coaching." And I'm like, okay, well, that's great. The internet's this powerful vehicle that we can reach more people, a wider audience, and deliver, a whole host of different services to. However, if you're not get people in person, like you're not seeing the movements, you're not seeing the prescription actually executed. You don't get to watch people breathe as they move through conditioning work. Like if that's not all happening, then I think it hinders your ability to actually write good programs and coach people effectively. So there needs to be a balance of both.
So you created quite a model that's a little bit out of the ordinary into the CrossFit-ish or like a strength and conditioning model. What led you to want that kind of format into your gym, and how did that happen?
Well, it's sort of been an evolution that I've taken part in alongside, my coaches and mentors from OPEX Fitness, who they're based out of Scottsdale, Arizona. So approximately 7 years ago, I hired my first coach to coach me. So individual coach, and an individual coach who was designing my training, was helping me organize my nutrition lifestyle practices to best support my training goals throughout those 7 years. And that was essentially like how I decided I mean that worked best for me. I didn't want to follow a group model. I wanted to follow an individual model, something that I knew for me on each day I was in the gym was supporting my fitness best. Now, I was a group fitness instructor, and also I owned a group fitness facility at the time. So I was kind of battling for years this balance of I'm trying to be I'm trying to run this group fitness facility, but on the other side, it's like when it comes to my own training and my own personal pursuit, I'm totally aligned with an individual approach.
Right.
And I started to realize more and more over the years that actually those two concepts were at odds with each other, and I wanted to align to one principle that made most sense. So it was a slow process of trying to introduce that into the gym that I owned previously. I had, let's say we had 150 members, 85% of them were group fitness members, 15% of them were on individual coaching programs, and they would come and do them at the gym and be, doing something different than what the group was doing. And it worked to some degree. Those individual clients who had, unique goals or specific needs or something that just kind of fell outside of what the group model was able to offer them, they were getting their needs met in a different way, which was really powerful. And I really saw the beauty of that, where it was like, I've got these, let's say, 10 people who have no business being in this class doing dynamic contractions, or they want something that's above and beyond what the group fitness class can offer. So I could write programs for them that were scaled up or scaled down in terms of movement complexity or intensity, whatever. And they valued it so much. But there was always this pushback from the group. It was like, hey, why are you guys doing something different than what we're doing? You know, why don't you want to be part of the group? Why don't you want to be part of this community? And and I always knew that there was a possibility of having everybody do that without a group in the center of it. And therefore, everybody was part of the same community, with each person doing something slightly different. And that's usually what group classes look like anyway. You know, you have a coach in there who's scaling, telling people to change weights, doing different movements for this person who's got this restriction. I mean, it's very much, that's very much what ends up looking like, but it's a watered down version of individual training. You know, you take one workout and then you scale it for 12 people versus taking 12 people and each giving them something that they supposed to be doing. And at the end of the day, when we have an individual, you know, coaching model like we do here, and there's 12 people training on the floor at the same time, there may be 3 people that are doing a design that looks relatively similar. Mm-hmm. We might have 2 people doing squats and pull-ups, but you know, it's built around their, you know, their assessment, their goals, etc.
Their percentages and their reps are different.
I think in 2016 was when percentages are different, time under tension, rest periods, you know, and in some cases, like the same exact prescription for 2 people on a given day might make sense, right? But it's you know, few and far between that ends up happening. So yeah, in 2016, I kind of just reached a turning point where I was like, I need to really break the mold a little bit and get out of this particular situation I was in. And from there, I just started a new coaching business, and it really kind of gained some strength as a online coaching business. Got had a decent reach. And then we opened up a brick and mortar facility here in Marin County and stayed committed to the individual design model. And we've been growing, you know, slowly ever since. And I think it's still a model, as you said, that's relatively new. So not enough people understand it and know it yet. Mm-hmm. Right? People understand group fitness. They understand what, you know, hey, I pay a membership, I get X number of classes per week, I show up, done. Right? But they don't understand yet what it means to hire a health and fitness coach. You know, what does it mean to have somebody who's going to be, you know, my accountability point for the next year or 2 years or 5 years when it comes to my movement, my nutrition, my stress management, my sleep. So as we show people that, and as they're having good experiences, then, you know, I think that this can be a huge player in the fitness game.
Yeah, it adds big value to have that plus kind of side, and I kind of feel that that's like the model that everybody should have. Like I 100% agree with that. And what are your thoughts about, you know, most people that get into group classes and they have a good intention of exercising, and most of the time in those environments like cross-training gyms, they'll have like great improvements anyhow. They would probably have more if they had individual design programs, right? And like a trainer that would be accountable for them. But what about the cost? Like how do you think people could be like influenced to change that, to have that shift, you know? Because it has a big financial difference.
It does. Not as big as you might think. You know, our model. So if I compare it to like the group fit, so I look at a group fitness, let's call it a group CrossFit nearby in the local market, the unlimited access where you go as many times a week as you want, we charge about $60 to $90 more per month than that. And what they're getting is a tremendous, improvement upon it's what happens outside the gym that really separates us, and that's truly what, like, I think defines success. So it's like people can have success, and you said, oh, they might have more success if they have an individual program, but looking at how do I define success? I don't define success as somebody who got into group fitness for 18 months, saw some improvements, got injured, and never went back. That is not success.
Nope.
Or somebody who had 2 years of good group fitness experience, got derailed a little bit by a life event, and then never found their way back, kind of got lost because nobody at the group fitness facility was paying attention to the fact that Jesse left the gym and didn't come back because they were just inundated with all the stress of running the facility and coaching the classes, and nobody was following that. So, I'm not saying that we have a perfect model, but I do believe that creating long-term success for clients by teaching them how to do fitness and create autonomy within their own health and fitness pursuit, where they learn how to eat well, they learn how to manage their stress, they learn what it means to come into the gym and do fitness, and they actually come into the gym with the training program that they're connected to. They're like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do today. This is how I'm supposed to move. Oh, this is why. Oh, I'm supposed to do resistance training and aerobic training like this. And they learn versus just being told, hey, this and go and run and, get sweaty and then leave and jump in your car and go about your day. And I think your question, I don't know if I answered it really, but
yes, absolutely.
But also to say that the cost of it, it's like, how do you get people to connect with this greater purpose? And that's going to take time. It's going to take time for people to recognize that going around the fitness merry-go-round, where it's like, I'm going to try this, I'm going to go try that, I'm going to go try that, I'm going to go try that, and they don't actually experience success, that becomes costly. It becomes costly financially for them, emotionally, mentally, physically, right there. They just sunk all X number of dollars over the past 5 years into various fitness programs, and here they are just still not feeling how they want to feel. And that gets old enough for people over time, where I think they're going to start recognizing, I want something that's a level up. I'm willing to pay a little bit more so that I can actually succeed.
Yeah, I feel that when I got into CrossFit in 2012, I could go through these workouts and put my face into a wall, and it was like awesome. I love that feeling. But now just the thought of it, like, forget about it. Like, I can't do that anymore. Like, maybe once a week, or like just the thought of like getting up and, oh my God, I need to go to the gym and do this. It's just not happening anymore, right?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I know what you mean, man.
Sure. You've lived it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just on your training, like I feel that been following you for quite a while, and I've seen you compete at the games. But even at that time, I have the thought that you kind of always played your own game. You were kind of always slowly but steady, and not influenced necessarily by what other people were doing. Am I correct when I say that?
Yeah, that was definitely my always how. I mean, I learned early on that was not. I couldn't compete the other way. I couldn't just try and like play someone else's game. So yeah, that was an early lesson, and it stuck with me for a long time.
And what about now? Like, what's your reality of training and like your markers of improvement? What's your next goal?
It's a good question. I mean, I still love to look, the sport of fitness, CrossFit as a competitive sport, is my coach has said this for years, but it's essentially just taking all the stuff that we do and making it so routine and familiar that you can do like any of it in an aerobic fashion. So doing muscle ups, chest to bar pull-ups, wall balls, cleans, it all just feels aerobic. It's just like, it's just like jogging. And the pursuit of that involves improving efficiency in all movements and lifts. So I'm always pursuing more efficient movement. It's about continuing to build over time an aerobic base of fitness. Now it's like, is that going to grow linearly, for the rest of my life? No, but I'm always motivated to have like a very good base of aerobic fitness, both in just simple monostructural work and in mixed modal work. And then it's also continuing to like maintain some top end strength, which I know at 34 years old and moving into my late 30s and 40s and 50s isn't going to go up. I mean, I've already crested the peak and I'm probably on the decline. So it's just a matter of just maintaining efficiency, and in those lifts and something near top end. And that to me is like, it's exciting. I can do things a year, 2-3 years removed from my fitness, my peak CrossFit Games experiences, in a mixed modal environment at an aerobic pace that I couldn't do 3 years ago. So I'm still refining. And then if I can string together enough months of doing something like that, or a year of really steady training, that I'm outside of some of the harder months and years of being a parent where I was very sleep deprived and not getting my needs met, then I would welcome the opportunity to be a competitive fitness athlete again. But of course, competing against people my age, not 26-year-olds.
Yeah, it's crazy how that improved. And I bet like you probably enjoy life a lot more now, like in general, like lifestyle.
I liked it a lot when I was competing too. I mean, I can't say that I love it. There's it's not like I just suddenly have like less stress in my life. It's like I run a very different type of business now. I have 2 kids. I'm working harder than I've ever worked. So it's not like I'm just, on vacation all the time, because I'm not training as many hours a week as I used to.
Have you accepted the fact that maybe like you were saying earlier that maybe you're declining, you're still improving some things, but you're declining? Have you accepted that as an athlete mentally?
Have I? I don't know that I've accepted it. Like what I have accepted is that, because I don't really feel like I feel like when I slowed down with my competing, or I stopped competing, I still had a couple more years of reaching new peaks in all aspects of fitness. And I'm not certain that I've crested that mark yet. What I do know is that the time of Marcus being able to train 30 hours a week is gone. So and in this sport, being able to accumulate enough aerobic volume and enough volume within the types of contractions that we do, that's what gives you the edge. That's what gives you the competitive edge. And that's what allows you to be super successful, amongst the elite. So I have accepted that time has passed.
Yeah.
And so now I have to just look at it from a different perspective. It's like, okay, with 90 minutes of training a day, what can I accomplish versus 3, 4, 5 hours of training a day? What can I accomplish?
And you also have other things that you have on your mind. So that's maybe what's helping you like cope with that.
Yeah. I mean, if I was just sitting around twiddling my thumbs all day and only training 90 minutes, I'd be like, why am I not training more? I should be doing more.
Yeah.
But fitness for somebody at my level, while I had achieved a very high level in the sport, it's not, it doesn't it doesn't support a 4-person family in Marin County, that's for sure. So it's not like I could just train all day and, you know, support my family.
Right.
I have to, and that was never my goal. It was, you know, I didn't go into fitness to be a professional athlete, and the allure of being a professional athlete was not even close to a thing when
Really?
I was starting fitness.
Huh.
No. In 2010, when I competed at the CrossFit Games, there was no such thing as a professional fitness athlete. There were people that were, I think, Graham Holmberg won the games that year and he got like $20,000.
That's like crazy.
It's crazy, right? Like now the fittest guy on earth is making $1 million possibly. I mean, I don't know. I don't have insight into that, but it's like,
Probably.
but it's like, yeah, but that's the top maybe 5 people in the sport make a salary. Like you take the 10th fittest person in the sport and you look at their total earnings from sponsorships and prize money at competitions, and it's like a mediocre salary at like a average job in the Bay Area.
Well, I trained with a games athlete who qualified for the games this year, and the top she was top Canadian, and I mean she's struggling. I mean she needs to work. She needs to do a bunch of other things. She's not living the life, if you quote unquote that.
Right. And so that was where I was at 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. It was working a ton, running a business, coaching and training a ton, you know, and that has a lifespan to it that's not very long, because it takes a toll on you, and you start to see health issues show up with these elite athletes, hormone dysfunction, and then that starts to take a toll on your personal life and just your general health, and you know, how long can you sustain, because you can't burn the candle at all different ends and be healthy or be able to recover from the demands of the sport. It just doesn't happen. So this woman that you're talking about, it's like she's working super hard to make ends meet so that she can compete in a sport that requires 30 hours a week of training and competitive, you know, a competitive season that's relentless. It's like, hey, I'm sorry, but she's got like 2 to 3 years of that, where she can hopefully reach a level in the sport where she can start making enough money where she can work less. It's like the Brent Bukowski situation. He was just like crushing himself as an accountant and climbing the sport. And it was like he got to this point where it was a turning point. It was like he was fortunate enough to stick with it long enough that he made it to the upper echelon of the sport, where now sponsorship and prize money could actually support him so he could get rid of his job. And now that he's got rid of his job and he's just solely focused on being an athlete, he's got a little more longevity. But most people aren't making it there. I wasn't going to make it there. I mean, at 2016, I needed to keep working and doing all the other things I was doing. I couldn't just become a full-time athlete.
But I feel that guys like Fikowski and even yourself, like, been like working hard as fuck, like outside of the gym, and when they get on the floor, have a lot more like heart and intent than maybe people that have it I don't want to say the easy way, because there's no easy way, but like, I don't know if you know what I mean. Like when he's on the floor, he knows that everything that he's kind of sacrificed around his life was for that moment. So like,
yeah, well, I think I understand what you're saying, but trust me, Matt Fraser doesn't work outside of CrossFit and fitness.
Yeah.
And I promise you, he feels the same way when he's on the floor. I've sacrificed everything. That's all he's been focused on. So, and you know, and if we just take a step back from fitness, I mean, because we're still in an era where we remember the early, you know, days where guys were just box owners and they did, you know, one workout a day and they were on the podium, right? Where it was like, oh wow, you can like be a normal person and be a high level athlete. You know, we remember those days. But if you think about any other professional sport, it's it's fucking, it's insane to think about LeBron James holding down a fucking part-time job doing something else. There's no way, there's no room for it. He's a basketball player. He has got to be focused on that. And in 20 years, you know, if the sport continues to grow, that's also what we're going to have to see. It's like, you want to be elite in the sport? It's like, you were working, wait, what? You're working a part-time banking job, or you're like an accountant, and you're also, that's nuts. Nobody would, in their right mind, in any other sport professionally, would think that that's acceptable and okay. And it kind of, what it means is that it means that, like, our sport is super young. We just haven't grown there yet.
Do you think the sanctions events are going to kind of help that happen? So there's more prize money, more exposure, and stuff like that?
I have no idea. I really don't. I think that the sanction events are going to, I don't know that they're going to actually create more money for the athletes. I think they're just going to create more money for business people that are getting into building businesses and owning sanctioned events. Yeah, I mean, I think what it's going to do is it could disrupt a lot for the athletes that are in the sport, because it becomes more of a chaotic year where there is even more of an opportunity for things to sort of like, go wrong within people's training designs and within their periodization, their intensity builds, where now they're doing qualifiers every other month or every month, online qualifiers every month. They're competing and then every other month, they're and now there's going to be that, like, because there's sanctioned events, there are going to be a heck of a lot of lower level events that are going to start to come up with the hope of growing into sanctioned events. So entrepreneurs are going to be like, oh, I'm going to start the Eastern Throwdown something series, because in 4 years I want to be a sanctioned event. I want to get CrossFit's little symbol on it, and then I can get some sponsorship dollars. I could run a big thing, and I can make some money. So you're going to have sanctioned events. You're going to have the next tier of events that are wanting to be sanctioned events, and all of them are going to have online qualifiers, and all of them are going to be, there's going to be a room for people to just jump in and do this stuff. So,
that sounds like a mess.
It could be a mess. I mean, maybe initially but it becomes a mess when people don't have a clear idea of, like, where things are headed and what the rules are, and how there's going to be governance over stuff. So, which is kind of where we're at now. It's like, nobody really knows what's happening. Nobody knows what the 2020 season is actually going to entail.
Yeah, they could change everything.
Yeah, they did change everything. So we absolutely know that things can change like that. And it could just be whatever, something new. It's like, oh, this year we're going to do no sanctioned events. We're going to just do the open, and we're only going to take the top 10 people, and they're going to go to the CrossFit Games, and the CrossFit Games is going to be in, September this year. And it's going to be a 5-day event with just those 10, we don't know.
Yeah. If we go back to a little bit, how you change your approach and you build your businesses, and how is the evolution of functional bodybuilding and your revival strength, like, evolving? What's coming up next? If you can tell me.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm happy to share whatever. I continue to want to see, Revival Strength as a coaching business. We're in the business of one-to-one coaching, individual clients, in person and remote, that we are trying to help guide towards their optimal health and fitness future. We work with clients that are all over the map in terms of their goals. Like, it's not just like competitive fitness people. There's been that reputation. It's like, oh, you only get individual coaching if you're really serious. And quite the contrary. I think people the vast majority of people we work with in our coaching organization are not competitive fitness athletes. They're people that want to have the accountability. They're like, they've tried some functional fitness or some group fitness, or they've tried different things, and they know that without the glue of a coach to hold all the pieces together for them, they get lost. And so we're here to give people clear direction. So the future of Revival Strength is to keep growing that. I mean, I want to have reach. I want to continue to grow our reach. And I want the coaches that work for me to have a future in fitness where they can actually coach clients, many, many clients for years and years to come. From a functional bodybuilding standpoint, I mean, I still look at functional bodybuilding as a philosophy and a set of principles that helps, that's helping people to reimagine what fitness should look like and can look like for sort of the long term. I mean, I don't see I don't see high intensity functional fitness lasting as a general population fitness method for a long time to come, because it burns people out, and it kind of misses anything that is sustainable for people. I mean, sustainable fitness for people is resistance training, bodybuilding, with some aerobic work, low intensity, moderate intensity aerobic work. That will make people feel better, look better, sleep better, have better hormone health, process their nutrients better, and just be generally happier. And so if bodybuilding is, I mean, I knew this stuff before I got into CrossFit, because I was living that life. I was doing resistance training, and I was doing aerobic training, and I felt fucking amazing. And I got into CrossFit, and I was super excited by the idea of doing something, high intensity, and that I could challenge myself. And but over the years, I started to feel worse and worse and worse. I started to feel more beat up. I started to feel less energized. I started to feel drop in libido, like things that I just was like, this isn't what fitness is about. This isn't what got me into this stuff in the first place. But it's sure sexy. People love the look of CrossFit and high intensity functional fitness. So I'm like, I've said it before, like functional bodybuilding is my mission is to make bodybuilding sexy, make doing just resistance training and aerobic work look really awesome
and fun
and make it fun for people. Because I mean, I hate to say there's anything that is like, this is the ticket to everybody's future of fitness, but dude, bodybuilding and doing aerobic work is the future. I mean, that can carry people through life.
Absolutely.
With good lifestyle practices, it's really important. And yeah, is it fun to do some thrusters, and is it fun to do some box jumps, and can we swing some kettlebells, and can we, do some dynamic contractions if your assessment allows for it, or, if you've proven the capacity to do it? Yes, but it's got to be thoughtfully blended together, not just some stuff thrown up on a whiteboard that's just random.
Absolutely.
So that's what functional bodybuilding is all about. And through our online programs, through all of the social media content, I hope to draw in more people that are interested in trying it, hopefully becoming clients of ours, or wanting to learn from me on how can I coach this way, or how can I design training this way, or how can I carry this message. And I certainly can see a functional bodybuilding education series coming in the future, near future, because I know that there are trainers, and I know that there are clients and athletes out there that want to learn more about how they can do this with their clients or for themselves for years to come.
Well, that's awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Let's head out with our 4 sweet questions that I always end with. So what's a Marcus Phillies theme song? What's the song that pops out in people's ears when you get into a new room?
Oh man, probably like a Justin Bieber song. That's kind of that's my go-to.
I didn't expect that, but that's awesome.
I mean, isn't he Canadian? You must love.
Yeah, he's Canadian, man, but he's probably lives in the States now, somewhere fancy.
Right? I'm sure.
Like Drake.
Mm-hmm.
Second question. Actually, that first question, people usually have a hard time answering that, but you were pretty quick. So, who is your favorite female athlete of all time and why?
I kind of, I kind of came up in the era of Serena Williams being this dominant female athlete, and I just, I think she kind of sits up there with Tiger Woods for me. Yeah, they both happen to be African-American athletes in sports that were traditionally dominated by white people, so they stood out. But it was just also interesting to see her and him in the same era, where it was just like you expected them to win when they showed up. It's like, oh, that they're competing, oh, they're going to win. And when I look back on that, it's like that's a incredible reputation to carry with you as an athlete when you're playing against the world's best, is that you're all the world's best, but you're kind of just clearly above everybody. And it's sort of like you either win or you lose. Nobody else beats you, right? Like nobody beat Serena. Serena just lost. Or Tiger Woods didn't get beat. He just didn't bring his best, that day, whatever. So
did you?
I don't know.
Did you see that Nike commercial with Tiger Woods like after he won?
Oh yeah.
People just bitching about him, but like everybody, like I knew in my heart that he would win. And he's also the only guy that did bodybuilding.
Was a special weekend. Well, he definitely created a bigger awareness around strength conditioning for golfers, and now it's kind of everybody does that.
Yeah. Third question. So, if you'd have a dream country that you would move to, and it can't be the United States where you already live, where would that be?
Italy is the country that I love the most, and I've been to a number of times. And I mean, it's hard to say because I haven't traveled to enough different countries. I love Italy, though. I have Italian heritage. My wife and I have been there twice together. We really enjoy the people, the pace of life, the European sort of life culture, and so I could see us moving there. And then that would be probably it.
Italy, nice. And last question. So, if you would have to play a role in a movie or be the specific actor, what would it be?
Actually, I take it back. I think I did look at your questions because I do remember seeing that.
Yeah.
I didn't. The first three I hadn't remembered, but yeah, if I could be an actor in a movie, what role? I think I'd be like more of like best supporting actor kind of thing, someone who's like not playing a lead role, but the lead role is somebody who's like, and most lead roles and most movies have some conflict, but the lead character is having this like deep inner conflict, and their supporting cast, me as the male supporting role, is sort of just like guiding them
like the Robin in Batman.
Perhaps, yeah. Essentially, just like a coach. I'm a coach. I'd be a coach to somebody in the film, right?
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.